Okay, hi everybody. This is Barbara Mayerson from joyandsuccess.com, and I'm so privileged and honored today to have Sandy Forster. She's a wildly wealthy woman, and from this wonderful company that she started from scratch, I guess, pretty much. And she's like amazing of how to teach women how to get money, make money, and be out of debt. And she'll tell you her story, and she'll give us hopefully some really good tips for us to work on our finances. So welcome, Sandy. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. I'm really honored to be invited, so thank you.
Oh, well, my pleasure. Like I was telling you before I started recording, I've been watching you and listening to you for years, and your story is just amazing. I got your book years ago when it had first come out,
Yeah,
and it's just, your story is just so uplifting
yeah.
because you did start out from welfare. You were in a really bad, dire financial situation, which I'm sure a lot of people are, maybe not as dire, but certainly is not in great shape. And you pulled yourself out of it using the law of attraction, right? Is a lot of really law of attraction. And
Absolutely, yeah.
so, just take us from the beginning of where it all happened, started.
Sure, yeah. I guess, well, for me, it was really about, I met a boy in high school. We went out for about 11 years, got married. I had a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old, and then we divorced.
Mm.
So at that time, I'd had a swimwear company and I was designing and manufacturing swimwear. Pardon me. And it was just a hobby. It was just bought us a little play money. And all of a sudden that business had to become my main income, and it didn't go well. I was not what you call a business person. So I just really struggled financially, and I ended up on welfare from the government. I was receiving about $15,000 a year, which is the equivalent of about $7,500, pardon me, US dollars at the time.
Not much.
So not much. And people, you obviously can't get ahead. That's one thing, but you can't even stay afloat. Like just go backwards more and more financially each day.
Mm.
And so for me, I ended up $100,000 in debt and on welfare. And I really didn't know how that was going to change. And I feel so blessed, so lucky, so grateful that I discovered the law of attraction. And I loved it because I'd read all the money books. I'd gone to the seminars. I'd done all the practical money stuff, and everything I did just self-imploded. Nothing worked. Put money into shares and stocks and it just went nowhere, just down the tube. Put money into real estate and I lost it. Put money, because, I think it was about $130,000 after I divorced. That was my divorce settlement.
Wow.
But little by little, all that money just disappeared. It went nowhere. It was so disheartening because I was doing all the practical steps like I thought everyone would do to create prosperity, but it just made me more and more in debt. So, as I said, I discovered the law of attraction and I just fell in love with it because it was so exciting. It was so, this was a place that I could really connect to, because the practical stuff felt really kind of heavy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the law of attraction and focusing on what you want and thinking about abundance and visualizing and affirming, that was so cool. That was fun. And so I totally threw myself into it 100%. I really gave it everything I had. And I was really lucky, well, I wouldn't say lucky. It would be, I was using the law of attraction. It was working. So little by little things started to turn around, and, I'm now able to say that I went from that place of being on welfare to millionaire. And it was all through using the law of attraction, but not just the law of attraction. So it was combining the law of attraction with practical action, because I totally believe, and this is what I teach now, when you take a practical action, you combine it with the law of attraction, that's where the magic happens. Because if all you're doing is taking practical action, you're doing a lot of doing, and you can be spinning your wheels, and it might not be the right direction, but you're doing a lot, but it may not be taking you in the right direction. And if you're just doing the law of attraction, you're sitting around meditating, expecting the money to drop into your lap, again, that's not going to give you the result that you want. Whereas when you combine the two, that's when the magic happens. It's almost like you're meeting the universe halfway. You're taking the practical steps to get there, but you're using your mindset to bring the universe to you. And as I said, that's where the miracles occur. So I'm a big believer in doing both.
the actions to take, the right actions, the inspired actions to take that's going to make the difference? How did you know
Totally.
to do that?
Well, for me, as I said, I was totally throwing myself into law of attraction. I was at that point where I had become a life coach. So I was actually a life coach, but things weren't going so great. So I decided I desperately needed to bring some money in somehow. So I went and got a part-time job, just a casual job. It was in a men's second store. So it was just selling men's, clothing that had flaws, etc. And it was just me in the store. It's just this tiny store right on the esplanade opposite the beach. So I used to sit there during the day. No one would come into the store. It was completely quiet. I'd be writing out my affirmations, working on my visualizations, working out my list of things that I want to create and manifest. And I'd look out at the ocean. And during this time, a thought came to mind about I should work in real estate.
Mm.
So real estate? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I went and bought a real estate investing home study course thinking that I could be a real estate agent of all things. And then within a couple of weeks, my accountant rang me and said, look, I know you did really well in a personal development sort of direct sales business before. I'm looking for someone to partner with that can help me in a new business venture I'm doing. And it was direct sales. And I thought, oh no, I'm not getting to that. No way, no way. But she said, look, I've got a lot of clients. You don't need to speak to anyone. I mean, you don't need to go and find anyone. I'll give you clients to speak to. And you just have to tell them about this new course that I'm promoting. And as it turned out, I loved the idea of the course. It was showing people how to invest in real estate, which I knew nothing about. But about a few months into that program and working together with my accountant, this name popped up in my brain one morning, Wildly Wealthy Women. And I just went online and I registered it. And probably wasn't until about 3 or 4 months later, I said to my business partner at the time, I've got this great idea. Like, I'm learning about real estate investing, but unless I had you to ask questions of, I wouldn't know what to do. And I love the idea of, bringing a community together. So I told her the idea for Wildly Wealthy Women, which was to have live calls every week with her talking practical, me talking mindset, and then come together for Wildly Wealthy Women's Wicked Weekends 4 times a year. And anyway, we launched this program and it made something like $3 million in less than a year. And that was just an idea. And since then, I've had many, many ideas. Same thing. An idea pops into my head. I take action on the idea, even before I know how it's going to work or what's going to happen. And then if it ends up being, a good idea, then more ideas are brought to it, and connections and people and things to build that idea out and make it happen. And if it's not a great idea, it just falls by the wayside and, wasted a bit of time, maybe wasted a bit of money. But that's why I believe it's a combination of action with the mindset that really creates the miracles, because one without the other, it's a longer road.
So all your mindset, all the affirmations and everything that you did brought you, somehow attracted this woman into your life, or her ideas, and then you were able to get this thing manifested. That's a really amazing story.
And that's just one thing. I remember another great thing was when The Secret first came out. So we couldn't buy The Secret in Australia because, what was it? There was something to do with, there was some sort of agreement that until it aired on TV, they couldn't sell it in Australia. But I'd seen the trailer, and even though it didn't talk about the law of attraction, there was part of me that just knew that it was something to do with that. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this movie is going to be amazing. I wish I could see it. And I sent an email to The Secret website and said, I'd love to send you a gift. I wanted to send them my book, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, which was all about the law of attraction, all about manifesting money. Anyway, I got an email back from Rhonda Byrne, the producer. She said, look, we get, hundreds, if not thousands of emails constantly to our site. I never get any of them, but somehow yours came to me. I'd love a gift. So I sent her my book, and this was back in 2005, 2006, when The Secret first came out. She got my book and she emailed me, said, oh my gosh, did you watch The Secret and then write your book? And I said, no, my book's been out for years. And she said, oh, I love it. Anyway, she ended up a couple of things happened. First of all, she wanted to film me for The Secret because they were taking someone out and they needed someone to fill that person's place. But secondly, I said to her, look, why can't we buy The Secret in Australia? I really want The Secret. She said, we are not allowed to sell it to Australia. I said, well, is someone else allowed to sell it in Australia? And she said, yeah, but we can't sell it to that someone. You know, we can only sell it to people in the US and, you know, the countries that we have permission to. So I said, well, I've got a US company. So I ended up, they would sell it to my US company. I bought it into Australia. And that alone, again, made me about $3 million in the space of about 8 months.
Wow.
So, and yet I never thought of myself as, oh, I'm going to become an importer. I'm going to find a product to sell and bring to Australia and make money. No, it didn't even work like that. It was just an inspired idea to write an email. And from that idea,
your own heart.
Exactly. I got connected to Rhonda, and from there, you know, just everything just kind of unfolds. So it's taking action on those inspired ideas. It's not just having a great idea.
Did it take time to do that? Because I know like sometimes you get an idea and you're working on it and you're excited about it, but nothing happens right away, but you just keep on going, knowing it's going to turn into something fabulous.
Well, for me, I always take action as quickly as I can, only because I've got kind of ADHD and I get sidetracked and something new comes up. And so I always try, and if I come up with an idea, I try and take some sort of action. It doesn't have to be a massive action, but some sort of action to get the ball rolling, to show the universe I'm serious. And then, you know, as you say, sometimes things just don't take off for whatever reason. Sometimes your heart's not really in it. You're coming to an idea for the wrong reasons. Sometimes it's, oh, I think I'll make money doing this thing. And I don't believe that's a good place to start from. I think you should always be doing something, and this is only my belief, but I think you should always be doing something that just lights you up from the inside out and really makes you feel amazing and great, because then you bring a whole different energy to that experience. And then you are in that place where when things get tough, you kind of keep going because you love what you're doing. And the other side of that is, even if it doesn't end up being this great money maker for you, you're doing something you love. You know, you can find another way to bring in money if you need to, but you're doing something you love, which I really believe is what we're all here to do, to do something we love, and if possible, make a difference.
You always said, do what makes your heart sing.
Yeah, do what makes your heart sing. Exactly.
Yeah, and I know, like, just like, because I've been doing these, doing regular seminars for a while, and then that life kind of happened and that stopped, and now I can't do the physical ones anymore, at the moment anyway. And so like doing this, and like, which is so much fun, and like contacting people, and just so much fun, and just following my heart and thinking, I don't know what I want to do, but I love connecting people. That's my biggest thing, connecting people with people. And finding wonderful people, and whatever happens is going to happen. And so it's so inspiring to listen to you. That did you, especially at the beginning, did you like lose any hope, or did
I lose hope? Totally. Yeah. Like when I was $100,000 in debt and on welfare, it's not a fun place to be. And, you know, when I first discovered the law of attraction at that time, and it was all about what you focus on is what you create, I can't even begin to tell you how hard it is to focus on being a millionaire when you're $100,000 in debt and on welfare, and you're getting red letters from everyone saying you owe us money. And it's just, so disheartened. There were many, many times.
How did you focus on 100,000 being a millionaire when you had all that debt?
Okay, so once I discovered the law of attraction, I knew what you're focused on is what you created. So it was like, okay, what can I do to really focus on what I want? And that's basically how the book came about, because I discovered one thing with the kind of bit of ADHD. I can't do the same thing all the time, you know, every day for the next 6 months. I have to do lots of different things, lots of different processes, lots of different exercise, lots of different ways to make my mind think about what it is that I want to create. And so for me, it was really about what makes my heart sing when it comes to any sort of metaphysical process. I could say to you, oh, you need to say this particular affirmation. But if you say that affirmation and it doesn't kind of light you up from the inside, and you don't feel inspired, and you don't feel sort of a tingling, you don't feel energy move, then it's not the right affirmation for you. Or maybe affirmations aren't even the right process for you. So for me, it was about, I learned so many different processes and exercises, and then I tweaked them and I made them mine, and I created, you know, different steps to take. And I just did lots of different things so that on a consistent basis, every day I was doing something that kept me focused on what I wanted. And I know for me, the ones that I still to this day love the most, I love visualizations. It just takes me to a whole new space, especially guided visualization where I'm listening. So that's one of the things I do for all of my clients and the students that go through my programs. I have lots and lots and lots of different guided visualizations because I know how powerful they are. And then affirmations, I think affirmations are great. Like every morning when I walk the dog, one of the things I do, I have my iPhone and I've recorded so many different affirmations, and I walk along the beach and I enjoy the beautiful sunshine and I enjoy the day and I enjoy the dog and I enjoy the ocean, but I'm listening to my affirmations and I'm keeping my mind focused on what I want. So whenever there's a moment where you don't have to actually think about something, because there's times that you do when you're having a conversation, when you're, you know, doing something important at work, but there's times like in your lunch hour or when you're walking the dog or when you're doing the housework or you're cooking a meal or when you're doing something, you know, you're driving somewhere, when you're doing something that you don't have to focus on, why not be focusing on what you want to create? Because the more you do that and get yourself vibrationally in alignment with what it is you desire, then the more you will start to see the people and the circumstances and the opportunities and the things that will bring you what it is you desire. You've got to get yourself in that place. And one of the greatest little tricks that I used to do was I had this little, it was like a book with clear sleeves that you get from a place like an Office Depot type store in Australia. It's called Officeworks. And I would write out affirmations and print that off and put them in one sleeve. And then I'd have a declaration of abundance in another sleeve. And then I'd have a picture of me surrounded by money in another sleeve. All these different things, you know. And what I would do is I work from home. So I remember at the time when I was really into this particular process, I put it on my kitchen table. So my office was the dining room, and, you know, to get anywhere else in the house, I had to walk past the kitchen table. So every time I walked past the kitchen table, I would just flip the page, whatever was on that page, whether it was a visualization or affirmations or the picture or, you know, something to do with gratitude, whatever it was, I would do that particular process. It took me anything from, you know, 20 seconds to a minute or two. And then I just walk past and get my glass of water. And then when I walk back past again to go back to my office, again, I do the next process. And then if I had to go out and hang out the laundry, I'd walk past the table and do the next process. So it wasn't like I put aside this specific time to do the processes to keep me in alignment with abundance and prosperity. It just became part of my routine. And it didn't take a lot of time because it was just this minute here and this 30 seconds there and 20 seconds there. And I always liken it to, we're taught about how exercise raises your metabolism and burns up more calories. And, you know, yes, you can do that at the start of the day and it will constantly burn calories throughout the day. Like you'll burn so many more calories for hours and hours afterwards, not just when you're exercising. Well, it's the same with focusing on abundance and prosperity. So when you focus on it, it's not just in that moment that you're raising your vibration. Your vibration will stay in that place of being more open to attracting abundance and prosperity for minutes, for even hours after that. It's all about the energy. It's all about the feeling. So when you get your emotions involved and get your feelings involved, because your thought is what sends out your order, but your emotions and feelings are what draws it back to you. So when you get your feelings involved and you do a process, it keeps you in that vibration much longer. So you don't need to, you know, you don't need to constantly 24 hours a day be focusing on what you want to create. You just need to constantly just keep yourself back in that place.
Just
Make sense?
like being, yeah, it does. It's like, you know, I know, like being aware when it starts to drop, say, oh, it's going down. Let me bring it back up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think being aware is probably the most important thing, because then you can make sure that you do the right things.
And sometimes it's not just about focusing on what you want to create. So for instance, let's say you're in that place where you wanted to create, let's just keep it really simple. Let's say you want to create an extra $2,000 a month. That's what you wanted to create in your life. And so maybe you've got affirmations around that, or a visualization around that, or you've got it on your vision board, or, you know, one of the many dozens of different processes I teach, but you've got that, that's your focus. You might wake up one morning and just be feeling a bit blah. And you just, the idea of focusing on making that extra $2,000 or attracting that extra $2,000, it just doesn't light you up. You just don't feel like it's possible. You kind of feel a bit, I don't know, a bit flat. You just don't really, you know. So
Yeah.
sometimes in that moment, rather than focusing on the money, instead focus on, if I had that extra 2,000 and that was totally extra over and above everything I have now, my debts were paid off, what could I do? How could I make a difference in someone else's life? How could I make a difference to my family? How could I, you know, my daughter or my son or my whatever, like how could I make a difference? What would that do? So sometimes it's easier to think about what you want to create from the point of view of how it will help others as well. So, you know, again, it's a matter of, rather than wipe the whole day off and say, oh, I just don't feel like it's ever going to happen, and just let it go and have a whole day when you're not putting yourself in that vibration, come to it from a different angle. So, you know, there's many different ways you can do that, but that's just one of the ways that helps to keep your vibration high when you're having a bit of an off day.
I think that's great. Like, and then think about, well, okay, forget about the 2000, but what would I like to have going on in my life? What would the 2000 do bring me? Because that's what you want the money for, to do something with it. And I know somebody said, get a cleaning lady
Exactly.
times a week, and get a new, go to a shower, do something. So
Exactly.
think about, oh, I'd love to do this, and the extra money would be great to do it, instead of thinking I got to make
Yeah.
this $2,000. But what would be fun to do?
Yeah, exactly. Because the money is just the vehicle to do whatever it is you want to do. So you can focus on the money, and sometimes you feel flat with that. So you focus on what you do with the money and all the fun things you'd have and the difference it'll make in your life. And that's what you can do. And sometimes that doesn't light you up. So then it's how you can help others with that money. So there's lots of different ways to keep your vibration high without always just focusing on the prosperity.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like thinking about other people and how you can help other people.
Mm,
Especially, I know I want to go see my dad in Florida. Can't do that right now, but like,
mm,
how can I make
mm.
things better for him right now in Florida, and
Yeah.
buy presents or do something fun for somebody else. And
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, I mean that would make. Well, I think like all the, you've got, again, so many processes. You've been doing this for so long. I'm surprised about Australia. Isn't Rhonda Byrne from Australia?
She is from Australia, yeah.
That was surprising that she couldn't sell it there.
Well, it was because I think it had something to do with the funding of the actual movie. And so until it aired on TV, they weren't actually allowed to show it because she was linked with a TV station here. She was actually a producer for a TV station here in Australia. So I think they had something to do with producing it. So it had to air on TV before they could actually sell it. So,
What's so
yeah.
exciting about you is like you're taking all these opportunities that they're popping into your life, and a lot of people would be, it's too hard, I can't do it, I don't know what to do. You ran with all of them, and sounds like
This
most of
is the
them were.
thing. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I could come up with a million reasons why I can't do all the things that I've ever done, because I'm a doubter just like everyone else. Like, I don't have the ability. Who am I? Like, what? I'm Sandy from the Sunshine Coast. I like walking the dogs down the beach and, being at home by myself. It's like, seriously, who am I? But like you said, a thought comes up, and I actually I tell my daughter it's delusional manifesting. So I don't want to, put any sort of mental health down, but I'm just, in my way, it's like, I think about something, even if there's no way it can possibly happen, I focus on it and think about it, and I take action toward it. And my daughter, when I have a conversation with what I'm up to, sometimes she says, is this real, or is this you just thinking it's going to happen? She can't tell a difference, because I believe that when you really put yourself, body, mind, and spirit into something, the universe finds a way to make it happen.
Well, I think like all my, because we focus on law of attraction in my site, and we talk about all of that. And I think like getting to that point and realizing that we have to start thinking about what we want, and then taking action, even if it's not, like you said, even if it doesn't pan out, or maybe even if it does nothing to do with doing anything that you want to really do, but just do some kind of action.
Yeah, because I think people take too long in the thinking, and they can, like, let me just give a very practical example. Someone decides they want to sell something online. They want to either a course or a book or something, and they spend months and months and months and months and months creating their website, and then creating their bio, and then thinking about the book, and maybe putting chapters together, and you know, there's a year or 2 or 3 goes past to getting it all ready. But it's like they're not actually just getting out there and making it happen. They spend too long in the thinking and the planning stage instead of just doing it. And I think when you start doing it, that's when you move closer to the universe, and the universe moves your desire closer to you. So what happens is most people spend so much time back here in the thinking and the planning that the universe can't get, like, you're not actually moving toward each other. You're here, the universe is here, it's hearing you, but it's a very slow process. But when you're taking action, it speeds up, and you and your desire meet so much quicker. So action has to be, you know, action, but actually action that gives you a result, not just thinking about the action. It's actually taking the action.
It reminds me of something else that you had said, that like when you had first started coaching people, you thought, well, I don't know how to do this. And your coach said, you know a little bit more than they do. So the
Yes.
fact that you know more than they do, maybe it's not a lot, but it's a little bit, do it anyway. And
Yes. And you know a really great little an example of that, to a second grader, a fifth grader feels like a god. And so for so many people out there, we're second graders. No, we're fifth graders and they're second graders. And so as long as you're a few steps ahead of the people that you're sharing information with, then they're going to love what you share. You don't have to be the expert. And I think this is the absolute key. You don't need to be the expert. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to be better than everyone else. You just need to be a few steps ahead of the people that you're sharing or supporting, or, you know, however it is that you're connecting with them. But you just need to be a few steps ahead. And the thing is, you'll only attract people that are a few steps behind you. You won't, your message and who you are won't attract people that are far beyond you, because they won't resonate. So, you know, it's very easy when you get out there and start building a business or trying to sell something on the internet. Just know, don't get stuck in the headspace of, oh, who am I? Just know that there is thousands, if not millions of people out there that are waiting for you and your message and who you are in the way that you share it. Because, you know, to them, you're a fifth grader and they're only a second grader.
yeah, I think that really is a key for a lot of people, because they're so busy thinking, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody's going to listen to me, instead of thinking, but I know a little bit more than they know. So
Exactly.
that's okay. And to get that message out there is amazing for people. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that with everybody. And you learned you did it on your own. You just did it all on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of this time right now, is that the amount of mentors and teachers and information that's available is like mind-blowing. You know, back when I started on the internet, I sound like my grandmother, back when I started on the internet, there wasn't a lot around. There was, you know, not a lot of information about how to grow a business. It was all very new. And so for me, you know, in this right here in these times, the opportunities just abound. But then by the same token, it can be a little bit overwhelming for people. You know, there's this person to learn from and that person, I've got to learn this strategy and that strategy and other strategy. It's like, simplify. Just find one person, one mentor that you resonate with, someone who's done what you want to do and has already taken those steps and made the mistakes and spent the time, energy and money and knows the answer. And find that one person that you resonate with, and then follow them, read their books, go to their events when they're back on again, you know, attend their virtual events, take part in their masterminds, do whatever you can to connect with that person, and just follow that person and follow their steps and take their advice. I think when you try and fill your head with too much stuff, that's where people this wheels start to spin, and they just don't get anywhere, because there's so many choices and so many things to do and so many opportunities, and making a decision becomes way too hard. So just find that one person that you really resonate with, that you really feel a connection with, and listen to that person and follow that person.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and be able to be quiet, meditate, whatever. I tap a lot, so
Yes.
that helps me a lot, and
Yeah.
just be able to be quiet and just like listen instead of all the noise out there. There's so much noise out there. Like everybody's like,
There is. Yeah.
instead of like, well, what do you feel? What do you think?
Yeah. And I love that you brought up meditate. I think meditation is, I think it's really underrated. I think people don't understand the power of meditation, and how I actually believe meditation is a manifesting tool.
Mm,
So, as well as all the other amazing benefits, I believe that meditation is like this. It's almost like we have this between us and the universe. There is this pipe, there's this communication pipe, and it's so clogged and kinked and everything. We just don't hear the messages from the universe. We don't just get that guidance that we want, and we're so unsure and we flap around like crazy people. But when you meditate, it's like you take a pipe cleaner and you clean out that pipe, and the kinks get, you know, straightened out. And suddenly, when you take the time to meditate on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, even if it's only for, you know, my timer is for 11 minutes every morning. So just take that time every day to meditate. It just clears the kinks out, clears that communication. It's almost like defragging your computer. Suddenly your brain is clearer and you're able to get those messages, get that inspired inspiration, get those ideas that can come to you, that can completely change the course of your life.
instead
So
of running around
meditation is,
like a nut, everybody runs around like a crazy person, and
yeah,
just, instead of just sitting quietly and meditating and just
yeah,
listening to what's going on inside. Well, this has
yeah.
been really fascinating, Sandy. I mean, it's just been amazing that you took the time to help to talk to us and talk to our audience, and
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, I'm so grateful for what you do out in the world and the difference that you're making. It's just amazing. It's wonderful to have, you know, women like us that are out there doing something and connecting with other people and helping them. So yeah, thank you too.
well, thank you. And I know, audience, you're going to love listening to Sandy. I'm sure you already have. You've been listening to her. Hopefully, probably a lot of you are probably already on her mailing list, so you really know who she is anyway, but you'll get to know her now. So thank you for joining us. Thank you again, Sandy, and just been absolutely wonderful.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Barbara.